everyone, I'm John with Roadkill Incorporated. Welcome to Retro Resale video number 5, where I make you complicit in my hoarding addiction, and I show you how I make money buying and selling retro. Today we're buying and selling some Apple IIs and Apple II boards, some pretty interesting and unusual material. But first, I just want to say a word about Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and other local sales platforms. And that word is, well, avoid these places if you don't want to be buying some really amazing large lots. It seems like every time I go there, I find a barn full of free stuff or a storage locker with 100 stereos in it. It's just crazy. Amazing how well you can do on there with minimal effort. And it's amazing how many people are unwilling to buy this obviously good inventory that's sitting there, sometimes for weeks. I figure there are a few reasons for that. Most people are just not willing to drive 20 miles. Plus, they don't have an appropriate vehicle to transport it. Plus, they don't have the money, even if it's $100. They aren't accustomed to buying and selling, and they can't envision spending money to make money. And on top of that, they aren't confident in their buying and selling skills such that they really even believe they can make a profit, do repairs, or do whatever it takes. All these things together mean that 99% of people are simply not going to take advantage of an amazing local deal, even if it's staring them right in the face. When they see it, all they feel is fear and risk, and it becomes a matter of identity for a lot of people. I'm not the type of person who does that. If I took something like that on, I'd have to ask myself questions about who I am and what I'm doing with my life, so better just to leave it and keep doing the things I'm currently doing and more comfortable with. You know, it would be nice if people were more adventurous, but to be honest, I'm perfectly fine with them being that way because that just means more for me and that means more for you. Anyway, the Apple items in this video were one of these lots. If you watched my last retro resale video about the Commodore PET, you'll recall that when I did the pickup, the guy also had lots of Apple II boards. Which is really weird, it's just not something you see. He'd bought out an estate and he didn't know exactly what the story was, just that some old guy died or was clearing out his place. The usual story, but not the usual inventory. 8-bit Apple is not typically something I go after, but hey, as I say, it's all about the price and whether or not there's an obvious profit margin. A couple friends of mine had Apple IIs as kids, and I used them in school up through high school in the 90s, amazingly, and I always found them frustratingly inferior to my Commodores at home, especially considering Apple was way more expensive. But they do have a unique and quirky aesthetic, I have to admit. I did a huge Apple II pickup a while back, and I made a video about it too, but that was years ago. So yeah, we sorted into piles, and there were 3 Apple II, 1 Apple IIe, and the rest were 2 Plus, and then there were 4 basically complete machines and some other random parts. I had studied some pictures of each board so that I was able to identify them. I wasn't optimistic we could agree on a price because he obviously knew he had something special, but he said he wanted $20 for each board and $50 for each complete machine, which I felt was completely reasonable, especially because he didn't set a different price for the 2 boards, which are way more valuable. He did keep one of those, though, as a quote-unquote piece of Apple history, and, you can't blame him for that. So yeah, basically $500. I always bring more money with me for this very type of scenario, but I only had $300 on me, so I had to go off and find an ATM at a gas station late at night in the suburbs, so that was fun. But hey, it worked out. Okay, here we are, all of the Apple stuff in one place, been going through it. Ridiculously nice pile of material. These are power supplies that go in those. Those have them, but these are extras. Actually, they're kind of light, so I don't know if there's a power supply in the power supply. We'll see. But these are valuable. They go for $60, $80 if you need to replace them. These are Apple II boards, not Apple II Plus, not Apple IIe, Apple II, the original Apple II that came after the Apple I. So this is old. This is valuable. You can tell there's nothing that says like Apple II. But you get the Apple computer there. You can differentiate it from the Plus because the Plus has this little sort of indentation here where it's got some print. The 0044, that's one of the 2 Apple II Plus model numbers. I think the other one is 0001, which I believe is this sort of golden one here. So yeah, you look for this little indentation with the text, and that tells you that's a 2 Plus. This doesn't have that. That tells you it's a 2. And then here's the 2E, which is radically different. You can tell how much they change things over time with the 2E. So here is an 80 column card. I believe this gives you more RAM, like 128K total, and 80 columns on an Apple IIe. I don't know if it works in a Plus. Here we have a couple disk drive controller cards because old computers don't have disk drive controllers and you have to add them in a card. Here's a Super Serial card, which will probably never be used. And here is an RF modulator add-on. You know, if color composite is just too good and you want to go back to the old days, you can add an RF modulator to your Apple. You have 4 floppy drives in varying condition. This guy, I don't know what's with these screws. It just doesn't feel right when you lift it up like that. This one's missing. Oh, it's not missing. It's right there, the door. So we've got that door. I guess this is drive 2. I don't know. And we have a couple discs. We have Flight Simulator, Missile Command, and Galaxian. 3 notable games all in one disc. That's impressive. Surprised they fit. And we also have Topo the Robot Control Disc, Copy 2. And here we have, look at this. Wow. We have 4 different shades of dirt on the keyboard. And just beautiful machines. These Apple II keyboards are just, I don't know, something about them. They're just weird and different, like they're sculpted out of stone or something. I don't know. I'm told these are older Apple II Pluses with the power thing right here. Unfortunately, I don't have an Apple II, you know, the non-E, non-Plus. The power button, well, it's not a button, it's just an indicator, on those is like elevated to the level of a key, but it's still a white power thing. The machine that valuable board goes into. Don't have one of those, but other than that, it looks pretty similar. Then we have this guy. I don't know, maybe this is a later version of the Plus. And then this is a 2E. It says enhanced there. I think there was only enhanced 2E. So yeah, beautiful computers. Those will go for a couple hundred each. Boards go for 60, 80 bucks each. You know, dead ones go for $20, $30, but they're relatively easy to fix. These are very, very sturdy, well-built, well-designed boards. But yeah, what an incredible lot for $500. So these things were so light that I wondered, like, is there actually a power supply in here? So I opened this one up. This is the non-working one. This is the working one. The working one seems to have kind of a rivet. It will turn, but I can't seem to unscrew it. So, but here's the non-working one, and look how beautiful that is. I mean, it is really laid out well. It's really a nice design. The color of this, it's like hard candy or something. Really cool looking. So I guess the main fault in these is a refa capacitor. This is the one that's the problem down there, probably. It doesn't look like it's blown though, so I don't know. All right, so here is the Apple IIe with the good keyboard. Gonna test it out for the first time. You gotta love the simplicity. I mean, it's just power and then composite out that all you need. You can use basically any monitor that has a composite in. So it just seems very nice and simple compared to a lot of machines. So I'll turn it on, cross your fingers. Ooh, okay. So here is the second Apple IIe that is, you know, a fully intact computer, missing a key. Pre-cleaning, I'm going to clean this up. It's pretty bad, look at that. So I'm turning it on for the first time. Whoa, and it works. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, bad keyboard. Okay, here is the loose 2E board. It's interesting, on the 2E, the power plug points vertically, and then on the 2 Plus, it points horizontally. And this is a very sensitive plug. Like, you don't want to wiggle it too much back and forth. It could break the wire right out of there. So anyway, let's turn this on. Whoa, that's different. Got some glitch art. We have a repeating pattern. Strange. Okay, time to test Apple II Plus boards, and why not test the power supplies too? So I've got one of the power supplies connected, composite video, Apple II Plus board. You can see there, 0044, and let's turn it on. Whoa, it works. Look at that. Next board. Good. It's just very touchy video. Wonder what it means if they go to the prompt or if they don't go to the prompt. Not sure. Next one. There we go, all the way to the prompt. Very good. Ooh, some colorful lines there. Question marks. Whoa. So I guess this is a questionable board. Haha. Anyway, that's not all of it, but you get the idea. I decided to keep the nicest intact 2 Plus because why not? And so far I've sold 2 of the other 3, one for $143 after fees, the other for $247. That really shows you a Plus is worth about $100 more than an E, pretty much. One 2 board worked and the other didn't, but the good ones stopped being good, so I sold them both broken for $137 and $126. The rest of the boards, 6 good sold in bulk for $162 after fees, and 8 bad sold for $203. Actually, a few of the bad were good, just kind of touchy, so I sold them as bad just to be safe. And I should say, I sold all these really cheap, in part just to get the job done, but also because I found the perfect buyer. I mean, look at this guy. His entire life is about the Apple II Plus, not the 2E, the 2 Plus specifically. I don't normally show buyers, but this guy is awesome, and it's clear the boards went to exactly the perfect person on the planet, so I was willing to give a discount for that. That's what I love about what I do. You take the stuff out of the hands of people who would destroy it and put it in the hands of the one guy whose life mission, for some reason, is to restore it and treat it like a museum piece. So, mission accomplished. Okay, so final analysis. Remember these cost $500. So the 2 intact computers sold for $143 and $247. That's $390. The 2 Apple II boards sold for $137 and $126. That's $263. The bad and good bulk lots sold for $162 and $203. That's $365. So the total sale price is $1,018, which means $518 profit. So really cool. Doubled my money, basically. And keep in mind, all the fees have been subtracted, so this is real profit. Plus, I still have power supplies, I have a bunch of cards, I have 2 intact computers, 3 floppy drives, and best of all, I still have Topo the Robot control disk copy too. So there's a lot more profit to still be had. Okay, so this is the first update section I've done. Remember the Pocket Computer lot in video number 3? Well, it sold for $636 after fees, and I had purchased that for $339 shipped. So I pretty much doubled my money on that one. And similar to the Apple situation, this lot was purchased by the one crazy guy who seems to know more about pocket computers than anyone else on the planet, and is certainly going to do the best with them that anyone could possibly do. And that makes me feel good. That's the thing about hoarding. A hoarder will happily let go of stuff if they believe it's going to a good cause or if it's getting used. In other words, if they can delude themselves into thinking it's all been worthwhile because, see, the starving children are benefiting or whatever, then hey, mission accomplished. So yes, once again, mission accomplished. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, so believe it or not, I have piles of Apple IIs and piles of disk drives. You can see some over there. But I've never hooked a disk drive to an Apple II and tried to use it. Believe it or not, I don't understand why. But anyway, I got this disk with these computers, and I want to see what Galaxian looks like on an Apple II. So this is the Apple II Plus that I kept, the nice one that works. So I think all you do is you take the drive controller and you plug it into the drive, and this is pin 1 here, and I think it says 1 on the corner. So yeah, that just kind of goes on like that. easy one-handed. Okay, so the drive is connected to the controller, and you just plug it in. I think slot 2, well, that's slot 6. I know there's different behavior for different slots when it comes to this. So now I'll turn it on. Okay, I heard a disc sound, I think. Now the Apple II auto boots, kind of an advanced feature for such a old machine. So I'll put this guy in. I have no idea if this disk drive works. Now I'll turn it on. Okay, this card was not fully in the slot. So when I powered it on, it didn't really light up the drive, but now I'll do that again. There we go. That sounds good. Oh wow, that was fast. Diversi-DOS. This disk contains a high-speed operating system called Diversi-DOS. To legally use it, please send $30. Wow. You'll receive a utility disk, documentation, and validation sticker as proof of payment. It's so funny that 30 years ago this kind of thing happened, you know? And people did mail things around and, you know, put money in the mail and trust each other and, you know, you just kind of had to go with it. Okay, hit a key. Catsup running. Ketchup running. Wow. Look at all this on one disk. That is crazy. Wow, Galaxian Eye. Apple IIs aren't burdened with the slow disk drive issues that like a Commodore 64, wow, would have. Very cool. That looks better than I would have guessed. I don't have a disk drive plugged in. Maybe I can use... Nah, doesn't seem like the keyboard's working. But how cool. I have a bunch of more games to try too. So, geez, what was I waiting for? I should have plugged a disk drive into an Apple II years ago. But, oh well, better late than never. Here's Galaxian. Pretty cool.